Hello everyone, this is Steve Robinson, president of Owens Community College, and today is Wednesday, March 11th, the first day of us implementing Governor DeWine's recommendations for higher education on social distancing and large events in the state of Ohio. And I wanted to elaborate on some of the messages that we sent out yesterday because we have taken some drastic steps along with pretty much every other college in Ohio to implement the governor's recommendations. And they are some big recommendations, including canceling large events and not holding face-to-face classes. The first thing I want to say is I'm sure that everyone in our campus community has a lot of questions, and we have a lot of answers, but we still are working to formulate answers for many of the questions. So please continue to monitor our communications that we send out. And feel free to send us questions because we're working hard to make sure that we have an appropriate response to the governor's recommendations and keeping the campus community safe and approaching this from a public health standpoint. So in addition to what we communicated yesterday, I wanted to add a little bit of layer of the rationale behind the governor's recommendations. And I actually started my day with the governor yesterday. The governor visited the Ohio Community College presidents in our OACC offices in Columbus yesterday morning. He actually walked over with Chancellor Randy Gardner and shared with us his concerns and gave us kind of a preview of some of his big recommendations that he made. Now, on my blog, I have linked to the governor's press conference. At about the 6-minute mark, he goes through the recommendations for higher education. And as everyone can see, pretty much every two-year college and most universities across the state have in some form or fashion implemented the governor's recommendations. I want to start with an email that I got this morning from a student, and I responded to the student. I don't have his permission to use his name. I didn't ask, so I'll just call him Brian. I want to read a little bit of the message. Dr. Robinson, while I don't mind a delay in the exam I will be missing today, I question why everyone is freaking out over COVID when the normal seasonal flu has a much greater effect on public health, yet we hear nothing about that, nor do we have annual curtailment of public activities with influenza A and B. Is there something they're not telling us? And then he provides some links and he ends, thank you for your time, Brian. First thing I want to say, what a great email. A very thoughtful, civil, productive email with a great question. I'm proud of our students for that kind of civil discourse. It's a really valid question. And when I responded to Brian, I linked to my blog entry, and anybody who has that same question, I think, should have a look at the governor's press conference yesterday. It's at ohiochannel.org, and it's the May 10th update on COVID coronavirus. Okay, so that's thing number one. The other thing I wanted to share with our campus community is I think the governor's response, while it is very aggressive, the governor should be commended for three things that I really want to put out there. First, it is very clear that the governor's strategy and recommendation is based on learning and study. When the governor sat down with us, he talked about a team of 10 physicians that has been advising him on this issue. He talked about books that he's reading, and he's approaching this from a space of learning. And that is a very important point for me as a lifetime educator. Both Chancellor Gardner and Governor DeWine talked over and over again about things that they are learning from looking at other countries, other states, other cities, from research, and particularly from physicians. So I think that was important. The second thing I think the administration should be commended for is this is a response based on science. Really not talking about the politics of things, really taking a look at the science. And in particular, if you watch the governor's press conference, there's a graph up there about public health response at the beginning of community spread. Now, I'm the wrong kind of doctor to be weighing in on public health and epidemiology. But the idea is that an early aggressive response can have a big impact on community spread of disease. And so there, on Twitter, there's this hashtag flatten the curve, talking about the way that different communities respond to community spread early makes a big difference. And the governor talks about that at great length in his press conference. The third thing that I think the governor could be commended for, should be commended for, is telling people things they don't want to hear. Can you imagine being the governor of a state in the middle of March Madness that is hosting a lot of the March Madness and saying that those events should go forward without spectators? Now, I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but it is a very bold statement, not the kind of thing that a politician who is most interested in garnering votes would say. It's clear that the governor is motivated by a strong desire to make an impact on public health and is not afraid to say things that are unpopular or that things that people don't want to hear. So I'll end by saying this. I want to thank everybody here at Owens, our faculty, our staff, and our students for being flexible during this time. There is no way we get through this without there being a major disruption to our learning environment and campus operations. Our job will be to make sure that we manage those disruptions with the least impact on our mission, which is student success and community success. So this is going to be stressful for pretty much everybody. And I want to thank you for the hard work and flexibility that it will take to get through it. I want to thank students like Brian, who reached out to me with very valid questions in a civil manner. I think that's something that we should do more to highlight. Getting with each other in a sense of shared humanity, and that we're all in this together. And that's, I think, maybe the most important thing of all. So thanks to the entire campus community. As we have answers to more questions, we will get them out there, and we'll get through this together. Thank you.